Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. Floyd Shivambu has been fired from the position of MK Secretary General. Just announced today, he's going back to Parliament, they say. He's been fired basically from being CEO of the organization and occupying one of the most senior positions in the organization. And if you recall, his appointment was quite a newsworthy appointment, one which indicated that he was being prepared to be a future leader of the MK party. Now he's being sent back to Parliament, and that indicates that his prospects of being a future leader of the MK party are significantly diminished. I must admit, I saw the media engagements that Floyd Shivambu was doing recently. I think I saw him on Newsroom Africa, I saw him on another platform, and I was confused because I was like, why is Floyd rehashing his reasons for joining the MK? I think he said it was the best decision he's ever made. I saw those interviews happening. I didn't fully watch them because I was less like, we've heard this story before. And in the back of my mind, I was like, what is he doing? Why is he rehashing this? Is this going to be part of his strategy? Now I think it makes sense. I think he was trying to make a closing argument against being removed from the position. I think that's what he was actually doing it for. And I'm going to start with the EFF. Let's talk about the EFF. I think this development is something which will have the detractors of Floyd Shivambu in the EFF celebrating, and they will raise a variety of reasons. Number one, they were saying at the time that Floyd was claiming much too much around his role and contribution to the EFF. He was claiming to have conceptualized everything in the EFF, the cardinal pillars, the colors, the berets, Malema's voice, Malema's speeches. He wrote Tubulipunu. He is the one who did ABC. Brother Floyd Shivambu. So they will be saying that we told you about this brother Floyd Shivambu, that he's not exactly the strategic mastermind he claimed to be. They'll also be celebrating because they have and they view Floyd to have betrayed the EFF and to have attempted to orchestrate a palace coup in the EFF, create a perception that all of the leaders were leaving the EFF, going to MK, collapse the EFF into coalition with the MK, have it become one umbrella with his departure. And that is something that they will say has failed, and therefore he has failed to bring the contribution which he advertised to the MK party, which led to him being put in the forefront in such a manner over and above other people who were in the MK party for a long period of time. Julius Malema will be feeling like Jay-Z today in the song Never Let Me Down with Kanye West. We don't talk about Kanye West no more, but I don't know if you remember the line. First I snatched the streets, then I snatched the charts. First I had their ear, now I have their heart. Rappers came and went, I've been here from the start. I seen them put it together, watch them take it apart. Seen them rovers roll up with ribbons. I seen them repoed, resold, and redriven. So when I re-rolled, he holds number one position. When you hot, I'm hot. And when your feet cold, mine's are sizzling. It's just plain to see. Camp with me, cause I'ma be that for life. This is not an image. This is God-given. This is hard living, Mr. Crystal sipping. It's the most consistent hove. Give you the most hits you can fit inside a whole disc. I'm home on these charts. You are just visiting. That's how Julius Malema is going to be feeling today. Sorry for taking you to rap history, and we don't talk about Kanye no more, like I said. So from the EFF side, there's definitely going to be some jubilation, and there's going to also be some, I guess, healthy, anticipation to see what Floyd brings to Parliament. Now let's look at it from the MK side. I mean, he's an MK member. I think we have to look at it from the MK side. From the MK side, it seems that there were multiple issues, some confirmed, some unconfirmed. Firstly, it was a mistake to pick a fight with Zuma. She was instrumental to building the party behind the scenes, and she was with her father through some of his darkest moments, right? She was there when all of the arrest stuff was happening. She was there when he seemed to be, on the political fringes, and she was there to boost his support, boost his morale, to stand with him, to stand for him, to advocate for him. So picking a fight with somebody who's played that role to the leader of the organization is a strategic mistake in and of itself. Trying to compete with a father's love for his daughter is a strategic mistake in and of itself. You will never win that competition. And in fact, in trying to win that competition, you show that you don't have an appreciation for some of the dynamics within the organization. Picking a fight with her was not likely to lead to long-term success. I don't think that Dudu Zuma went about airing her criticisms of Floyd Shivambu in a diplomatic fashion, but I don't think that necessarily those criticisms were baseless and did not have a grounding or support within the organization. So if you're a political mastermind, it's not good chess to pick a fight with her in the manner that he picked the fight with her, to attempt to discipline her in front of the whole of South Africa and to show that, he's in charge, she's not in charge. I don't think that was a winning chess strategy. I don't think that's how you do chess within the Zuma Zugzwang. You don't play that game the way that Floyd was playing it. Also, I want to say this. I think that people underestimate Dudu Zuma in terms of her political prowess. People see her as an attractive woman. They see her making TikToks, which she was making when she wasn't active in politics, and they think that's all that she is. I think that there's a strong political player there. I think that she's paid attention to her father's lessons in terms of political lessons. I think that she does understand the dynamics of the organization as it's playing out. I think that the person who caught that she's a good and strong political player was actually Jabulani Khumalo, but he caught it late. And he tried to say, hey, Dudu is playing a role here, but he was going at the time. He started noticing that she was smarter than he thought. And Zuma has put her in positions where sometimes she's there to be his eyes and ears and to pay attention. So he can't be everywhere. He needs to put people that he trusts. You picking a fight with somebody like that, to me, is a big strategic mistake, right? So that's the first thing that I think. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but that's where I saw that whole thing going when he started that fight with her. And I think I mentioned it in my earlier video on this particular topic. So that's the first thing. Number two, there are unconfirmed versions or stories or, narratives saying that when Floyd Shivambu became MK leader, there are certain things that he did that made him, almost create his own demise, so to speak. So the unconfirmed story is that he wrote the speech that was given by Dr. Mandla Hlophe in the response to Sona, and that speech was not considered to be a game changer. The speech is reported to have caused a war of words between Mzwane Lemanyi and Dr. Mandla Hlophe, and apparently, Floyd did not give his best work there, and some people became skeptical and critical of him because he was supposed to deliver a home run, a slam dunk in that situation, and he didn't particularly deliver. So if he wrote the speech, as some of the people are saying he did, he would have lost some allies within the organization, considering that it didn't have the desired impact. And if you're coming through to say, I'm a great speech writer, I was writing this for Julius Malema, I wrote, H to the Ezo for Jay-Z. I wrote Through the Wire for Kanye West. I'm the one who wrote the cardinal pillars of the EFF. That kind of self-aggrandizement can come back and hurt you if you cannot deliver on that self-aggrandizement, so to speak. But that part is unconfirmed. What I do think is that can be confirmed and corroborated is that the third thing I want to say is that there's been friction between Floyd Shivambu and the grassroots of the organization. People have expressed that he came across as dismissive, as arrogant, as trying to dictate to them, the grassroots and the people on the streets, and they did not take kindly to that. Some decisions that he made, which we can confirm because we saw them being made, seemed to be true controlling and seemed to try to put himself as the gatekeeper of Jacob Zuma, and to seem as if he was trying to become the one who will be the one who is the oracle to Jacob Zuma. So, for instance, you remember there was that whole mandate that no one should just meet Zuma without certain approvals. On the one side of that, you can look at that and say, sure, that's a good argument because you don't want the leader to just be freely met by any and everybody. But on the other side, especially to Jacob Zuma himself, that would have looked like, hey, is this guy trying to control me? Does this guy think I'm so old that I can't strategically make decisions about who I meet and what they're presenting and whether or not that presentation is valuable to me? So that move in and of itself could have put a flag on his back in terms of a red flag. And Zuma would have said, this guy, he thinks my chess strategy is still not sharp. So that's something that I think is worth considering. Number 4, I think that Floyd Shivambu failed to deliver on one of the key premises of bringing him into the organization, which is that he was going to deliver the EFF support base to the MK. In fact, he may have actually galvanized the EFF and made it harder for the EFF and the MK to form a coalition of any sort down the road. And that's because of some of the comments he was making about gangsterism, about brotherhood and brothers who are gangsters, all of that stuff. You can tell from the way Sinao Tambo was responding, Sihle Lonzi was responding, that there was a lot of, bad blood that was created as a result of how he was moving and the way things went down. So at some point, if you haven't delivered on the promise, people are going to say, maybe we should just, cut our losses and move on. So that's something that I think is worth also just noting. The other thing is that, Jacob Zuma is a man of political somethings. He said MK is a political something. It's not a party. It's a son. So what I'm trying to say is that we can try to slice these reasons and dice these reasons, but the full reasons may never be fully known. There was a time when Jabulani Khumalo thought he was outsmarting Jacob Zuma, but the man had his number the whole time. And that's also something we have to think about and think about the political something. It could be that Jacob Zuma is just, creating some kind of a wild card, some kind of a Petrov defense type of situation, because in the Petrov defense, you may not know this, but you have to sacrifice a pawn at a particular point. He may be playing a Petrov defense. You don't know. I don't know. It's a zugzwang. You'll never know with Jacob Zuma. But there was a time, and this is just for us to think about chess and the Zuma chess game and chess strategy. Jabulani Khumalo thought he was outsmarting Jacob Zuma, but the man had his number the whole time. Even Biz News, have you noticed, has stopped giving Jabulani Khumalo Shugela interviews because they realized he had no base within the MK party. Remember, there was a time, all of a sudden, Jabulani Khumalo was spotted in car dealerships, buying cars before the election. He had top lawyers after the election, security details, a Mercedes-Benz, this other big car. Forgot what is the brand of that car again? There was some black car, man, that he bought that was quite an expensive car. What was it? It wasn't a G-Wagon. Was it a Toyota Land Cruiser? I can't remember what car it was, but it was one of those big ones. So he was getting financial support from somewhere. And to me, the financial support was on the basis that he would be able to take the MK party away from Zuma. And he miscalculated badly. He tried to, and Zuma was like, checkmate, Puma. And he was out. Just like that mkhonto, he was gwazan. So what I'm trying to say is that, with Zuma, there's a lot of chess happening. And if you try to think that you can actually outsmart Jacob Zuma, oftentimes you may be miscalculating. The guy is a strategic political player in a sense that we haven't come to fully appreciate. I always say don't underestimate Jacob Zuma. I think people have underestimated him at various times and went horribly wrong. So reports suggest that he will be going to Parliament to play a role there. So in effect, this is not a full dismissal, but rather a demotion. And it may actually be a good thing for Floyd Shivambu to go back to Parliament. He has lots of experience there. He can play an effective role in committees. It will be interesting what committee is placed in, how he responds to this moment and to this challenge. If he can go and make a contribution that is strong in Parliament, that creates a buzz for the party, he may actually be able to get back into the good graces of Zuma. There are risks, though, for the MK taking this particular move. So number one, the revolving door of Secretary General does not create a strong case for party stability, because this position has seen so many people come in and out, and it creates this perception, and the detractors of MK will create this narrative that this thing is not stable. People keep being reshuffled left, right, and center. And the MK party needs to attract strong candidates for local government elections in 2026. Some people may not come if they feel that the party has no stability. However, it's important to point out that they've been doing well in local government elections. Some people have pointed out to me that this is because of Bongani Baloyi, who left the DA, was mayor of Midvaal. They say that he's been doing the work on the ground. So the argument that I just made that some people may not be attracted may not be true, because they may go and actually join as a result of having seen and run as candidates as a result of having seen the success of MK and understanding who's actually making things happen within the party, right? That's something that creates a risk, though, this continuous movement up and down in the party, the revolving door in certain leadership positions. We just saw Mzwanele Manye moving out of chief whip, etc., etc. Those kind of things will definitely be a risk factor. So this could be something that confirms to some people who are running that narrative that the MK party is a family project and that there's no space in it for a traditional party program. Personality-driven political parties are something that can be criticized quite often. But the other side of the equation for some of the political players is that a personality-driven party can have lots of political success. You look at the Le Pen family in France. They've been leading that party for 2 generations. It's been growing. Only now it's been limited by the fact that Marine Le Pen is facing this barrier to running for president of France because of the way she was using funds from the European Union and the European Parliament, rather, for local stuff. So there's a lot of controversy there. Story for another day. If you look at Donald Trump, he's a personality politician. He's currently sitting in the White House, blaming South Africa, saying South Africa, there are horrible things happening in South Africa, etc., etc. And if you look at Trump and the way he does his business and political life, there's lots of family members there, right? And family matters to Donald Trump because he views those family members as people that he can trust, people that care about him. He cares about loyalty over everything. And I'm bringing this up just to point out that Jacob Zuma was Donald Trump before Donald Trump was Donald Trump. I don't know if you picked that up. He ran for leader of the ANC after being fired by Thabo Mbeki while facing charges. He launched the MK party after being arrested, after doing jail time. And the party still got 14.5% of the vote. So Jacob Zuma is more Trump than Donald Trump is Donald Trump in the context of being a personality politician who is able to use that personality to get electoral success and electoral outcomes. So as things stand, even though the musical chairs are shifting within the MK party and Zuma is playing the chess game that he's playing, the Zugzwang, it may still remain that the MK party will continue to grow because Zuma is still the force that drives the party and is the engine of the party. These are definitely interesting times. What do you think? What's your reaction to this moment? Let's have a conversation in the comments. This is just a reaction video, so not a full dissection, but these things are happening. Things are moving fast. It's like the poet Shakespeare once said, South Africa is a movie. You never know what's going to happen from one week to the next. It wasn't Shakespeare who said that. It was actually I think who was it? It was the poet Kendrick Lamar. He said, "We gonna be all right." No, it was Lamini. Cheers, guys. Let's talk in the comments. Let's talk.